So I scheduled a live stream for tomorrow, but I felt inspired. I was just reading some of the comments on my recent videos, and I felt inspired to hop on and record something today, basically just in response to what somebody asked me. So there's nobody here yet, but doesn't matter because I'm gonna upload the recording of this live stream, and then just reposition this, and then people can watch the recording. So just gonna pull up the chat on my laptop. Let's get that going. Damn, who puts ads on these videos? Hey? What a bastard. Also, how's the sound? The endless question. Okay, chat. Discussing how to deal with symptoms during activity. Catch the recording if you hop on late. Smiley face, smiley face, smiley face. Also, can you hear me? Because I have to charge my phone, so I can't plug in my sexy microphone. So some things come at a cost. It's power versus quality audio. So yeah, if like one of the current people online could just give me a sound check, then I'll get going. But I don't feel like jumping into the topic if you can't hear me. So somebody give me a sound check, please. If you don't give me a sound check, I'm going to assume that you can't hear me. Hey, Willie, Crystal Jackson, thank you. Appreciate it. Also, my T says hang in there. So, do so. Alrighty, so cool. There's a lot of people on all of a sudden. So I recently got a couple of comments actually on my recent videos asking about how to deal with symptoms. So if anybody here is new to the channel, what I'm discussing here is people struggling with long COVID, chronic fatigue syndrome, POTS, fibromyalgia, whatever it is, right? Anything where you get symptoms, chronic fatigue, and you struggle with activity, right? So how do you deal with Georgia Udall? Can you say my last name? Yes, but is that really important right now? How do you deal with symptoms in daily life, right? So from my own personal experience, it really helps a lot to have kind of cultivated a sense of just identification with your thoughts when you are in a calmer environment, right? So when you are meditating, when you are in a space where you're not getting triggered by exercise, by external factors, to really see that you are not your thoughts, right? So a thought comes along around a symptom, and to see that's not me. That's one step, right? Then when you're out in the world and you're engaging things, and these thoughts starts to come up, you can notice the thought, and maybe it's triggering you at first, but then you're going to put your attention in your body or in the moment itself, more in what you're doing, right? And things might build up over time, right? So think of this almost as like exposure therapy in one sense, right? It might be very triggering at first, right? So somebody asked me the example of like me playing hockey, right? Because I've mentioned in some of my recent videos as an example of how you can do a lot through the approaches that I share, right? So for me, it went from being housebound and feeling stuck. Fight Club, cool, mate. Let's put you in timeout. Sorry, mate. What was I going to say? Sorry, I got distracted there. Right. So if you're partaking in sport, in exercise, and my light just went out, and you basically need to first expose yourself to something that you're not used to, right? And when you're doing that, it could be very triggering at first. You could be having a lot of symptoms, and alongside that, you could be having a lot of uh, triggering thoughts around those symptoms. So if you've never done any, if you're doing something you haven't done before, it's natural that it's going to be very triggering, right? This is what I mean. It's like exposure therapy. So you're exposing yourself to something that's triggering your fear, triggering your symptoms even. And then one aspect of it is you want to be comfortable having sat with your fear-based thought, with your physical symptoms in kind of a space of acceptance, meditation, gratitude, allowance, right? And then at the other end of the spectrum, you want to then move into activity, right? And it's going to be like, let's talk about it as if you're training for exercise, right? So you're the first time you go, and I'm not talking about chronic fatigue syndrome, right? But let's say the first time you go and train for a 5 kilometer, right? You're going to feel like you're fucking dying, okay? And then you've exposed yourself to something that was outside of your comfort zone. So I'm not saying that you need to go and run a 5 kilometer, but I'm saying that you can kind of do something that feels completely outside of your boundaries, and it can be very triggering at first. But the next time you go and run a hypothetical 5 kilometer, things might feel very different, right? And you still might get triggered. You still might have all these thoughts that um, are triggering you, but you learn to expose yourself to what you're capable of. Okay, cool. The chat is having some interesting comments there. So basically, that's my off-the-cuff answer. If anybody has any questions you want me to expand on with that, feel free to go ahead. I'm going to respond to some of the questions here. So Georgia Udall, that's my interpretation of your last name. Let me know if I got it right. Your mom has fibromyalgia, if that's how you say it, and I have cleft lip palate. Sorry to hear that. I also have a cleft lip. Hello, cool. You're my university. What do you think about Romania? Rate Romania 1 to 10. I haven't been to Romania. How old are you? I think they're talking. You look like a cross between Russell Brand and that YouTuber Alfie. I don't know Alfie, but Russell Brand is a funny guy. Have you seen the movie Forgetting Sarah Marshall? I love that movie. Fucking brilliant. Freemasonry. Where did we get onto Freemasonry? MP. Hey, what's up, mate? One of the locals. Will you post a video about this or only a live? Well, the goal was to discuss it in the live stream, right? I was feeling like, I have no idea about cleft lip, sorry. The goal was to discuss it on a live stream because I felt it was more interactive. So, yeah, I just can share a bit from my perspective, but if anybody has any specific questions on that, I can dive into it more. I might record a video as well because it's also less distracting than the live stream. So I can dive deeper in a video. But yeah, I mean, let me know But yeah, the key is really as you build your resilience to what you can handle through a foundational mindset, right? Of I can do anything, right? And then when the mind is getting triggered through something, right? You can start slow, right? So you don't have to go out and run a 5K or play a hockey match, right? You do something small, but you really want to retrain your perspective on the symptoms that are coming up so it doesn't become a bad thing, right? I used to do this with cycling, right? So I'd go out and I would cycle and my legs would be burning and I'd be like, this is good. This is healing me, as opposed to what if you let your mind run unconsciously and the fear um, takes over, it's going to be like, oh no, my legs are burning. Or like it doesn't have to be burning legs, right? It could be your symptom cascade. That's going to come up and that's going to kind of trigger you, and then you could get wound up in a thought spiral. So the key is really um, to take time to retrain your thought processes. Me and Mojo could tell you all about it. I mean, I guess you could, but it's not really my field. Are you saying that our symptoms are just in our mind because research shows your anaerobic session is usually, yes, I understand that very true. One of the people are gaslit when actually do a physical formation. That is not what I'm saying, my friend. Um, the the real key is that you can have very physical symptoms, right? So you can have a reduced anaerobic threshold. Goodbye, Georgia Udell. Nice to meet you. You can have a reduced anaerobic threshold, right? That's completely understandable, right? You can have very physical symptoms because your body is locked in, this is one aspect on it, a chronic fight or flight stress mode, and that's going to affect you on a very physical level. It's going to affect your immune system. It's going to affect your mitochondrial system, your body's ability to produce energy, your body's ability to heal, right? All of these things are very physical. So no, I'm not saying that at all. But if one tends to fixate on that, you can have endless resistance to mind-body healing techniques. So it's very key to see that, right? I understand the perspective you're making, but no. You can really increase your body's capacity through brain retraining and meditation. Two of the approaches that and compassion work, I think, is very key. All of this stuff shifts your body on a physical level, right? One really needs to grasp the relationship between mind and body. People that are solely fixated on the physical level, you're going to stay stuck. Lewis Cole. I've just seen a friend and went beyond my normal boundaries of 30 to 40 minutes, and now I'm dealing with intense fatigue again. Any recommendations with what to do right now? Dreading days of symptoms. Right, so I completely understand that. That kind of like, yeah, feel like you've gone beyond your boundaries. One thing that I think is quite nice is I mean, right now you're obviously on the live stream, but to spend a little bit of time in nature, go for a short walk. I know this might seem counterintuitive, but it's actually something that I found quite helpful, was to just kind of put myself in a more open environment, see how that shifts my state. Because what happens is your mind, like that end of your comment, dreading days of symptoms, right? The mind is already creating future-based thoughts that aren't currently happening, right? So the two things that I recommend, right? One is like a meditation to observe your thoughts and shift them, right? So you're sitting there and the mind is saying, look, I've done too much. I pushed past my normal boundaries, dealing with intense fatigue again, right? So I totally understand that you can be okay. So your physical activity is very limited. That's fine. You can be struggling. I would say one thing is to just rest, kind of But when you're resting, observe the thoughts and let them go, right? So thoughts about the future are irrelevant right now. Specifically, thoughts about symptoms to come in the future, right? I'm going to get worse tomorrow. I'm dreading that, because all that's happening is you're experiencing fear now, and then the mind is spinning that into a story in the future. So if you can experience that now, if you can open your experience to what is it that I'm afraid of now, right? And you go deeper into that. But you do it from a space of openness, from a space of gratitude, right? You can really shift your state right now. Um, and and this is how you can start to do things, and it doesn't have the same cycle playing out. For me, the theory is our threshold for stress is so low, and we slowly have to expand our activity and work on mindset, and we can slowly do more and more. So yeah, I agree, right? So mindset is the foundation, right? As you increase your mindset into a state of whatever my body gives me, whatever life gives me, that is good. That is not, there's nothing to be afraid of, right? No physical sensation is anything to be afraid of. You can sit and experience it and go into it and not distract yourself from it. But this, the thought saying this physical sensation is a problem, that's the problem, not the physical sensation, right? So if you can work on your mindset, and you generally need meditation to do this, then you can expand your activity, and then you can see how expanding your activity triggers new resistance, triggers new stress, right? So exactly that, you're increasing your threshold for stress. And you need space to do that, right? But what radically increases just your threshold for stress is to shift your state from one of negativity to one of gratitude, right? When you're acting from a place of gratitude, your threshold for stress is much higher, because stress isn't being perceived as a threat, right? So it's really incredible how powerful this can have an effect, because when you're perceiving stress as something that you need to be capable of handling, as opposed to, hey, I'm grateful for whatever this is. What is going on here? Eddie, my friend. YouTube live streams is a wild space. You need to employ some moderators. Anyways, I lost my train of thought. Main thought is annoyance at myself for not adhering to my boundaries, I think. A lot of frustration in itself. Well, that's good. Feel that, honestly. Get into the depths of that annoyance. Like, what's at the root of that? That's good that you identified that, right? But what does that feel like in this moment? Don't read the comments on anything ever. The internet is wild. But yeah, it's okay. The thing is, feel the feelings you don't want to feel, but at the same time realize that you didn't do anything wrong, right? There's nothing can be different than it is, right? But what happens is we don't want to feel something now. So again, we'll go into a story about how we should have done things differently, but that's only because what we did led to us feeling either an emotion or a sensation that we don't want to feel. Even annoyance, frustration, self-flagellation, don't personally know what that means. Excuse my ignorance. All of those are fine to feel right now. But what's generally is that the root of it is a sensation we don't want to feel. And wrapped up in it is usually some fear. There's some fear of something, whether it's a thought or a feeling. Do you have any tips for not being able to visualize or negative, scary memories coming up? In what sense? What what is the problem of what's coming up? Hey, Aaron, sorry I missed your messages. Folding the laundry. Good on you. I've seen some funny memes on Instagram recently where it's like, it takes half an hour to wash the laundry, it takes half an hour to dry the laundry, half an hour to fold the laundry, and 7 days to pack it away. It's pretty accurate in my world. Actually, I've gotten better at that recently. Excessive criticism of oneself. Cool. Thanks for informing me. Yeah, so practice self-compassion. It's a lot of trauma memories coming up. Yeah, okay. But when the memory is coming up, right, there's a fear in the body, and that's completely understandable, right? Specifically if it's trauma. But really work with that fear, right? Realize that is in that moment, that's the juice, right? It's not to run away from that. It's like, how can I use this fear, nurture it like a little child, right? Do some like kind of, hey, I accept you, I love you, you can be here, fear. And then you just continuously expand your boundaries, right? So when dealing with the really intense stuff, the approach I use is, what in my experience right now is the problem? And can I open space for that? That can be here, right? I could be feeling very intense physical stuff, right? I've had some periods recently where I don't know what it was, man. Nervous system upgrades, I like to call it, but I was fucking floored in the body. And I just sat with it, accepted, open, and it works. Angelo's a meme master. I love his stuff. You should check. I don't know if you know So Awake. It's Josh. He's a friend of Angelo's. His Instagram is amazing. I had to have a chat with some sensations I was having this morning and let them know that it was okay to be there. I kept hearing your voice telling them they're welcome. Love it. That's the best, man. Talk to the sensations. They're completely welcome. Yeah, right. Josh is amazing. MP, me and Matzo still chat. Is he still improving? Yeah, Matzo, he is. We do still chat every now and then. I should invite him on for a live stream again sometime. Yeah, so I don't know how much I should reveal about Matzo, but last I spoke to him, he was stepping into doing some work again in Amsterdam. So that was like a new kind of frontier, was starting to get busy with some kind of work, and he said it was going well, that it was nice to kind of immerse and engage, right? Interesting. Actually, I'll share something that we discussed based on his experience, and that was how kind of getting a bit busier and kind of more involved, right? Obviously, there's stages to this, right? So if this doesn't apply to you, this doesn't apply to you. But that kind of, once you've made some progress, but you can get stuck in this state of kind of holding back from life, right? Not, you can feel like a lot's coming up in your system, but we're talking about how when you actually go and get involved with something, a lot of the stuff actually falls away. And I've had similar experiences that when I engage in something, you get more engaged in that, and a lot of your fears fall away. I can feel it, right? If I'm engaging a lot with people on a very mental level, I need to meditate just to kind of release all of that kind of energetic buildup from getting pulled up into the head. So I do need to meditate, but and if I'm exercising really intensely, meditation is just fucking beautiful space. How would I deal with symptoms I have all day? Well, I would start by incorporating space to change your relationship to the symptoms, and then you can start to apply that through the rest of the day, but actively giving yourself space to cultivate a positive sense of compassion and gratitude for your symptoms can be powerful. And then if while you're doing that, it brings up emotions that are resistant to that, right? It can bring up frustration, it can bring up anger, it can bring up a feeling of unfairness. How can I love these emotions? That's great. That's what's in your system that needs to come out. So when I say you want to learn to love your symptoms, it's a twofold approach, right? One, you're actually retraining yourself to love your symptoms, but two, you're actually seeing your resistance come out. How do you balance not overdoing it and crashing while also not having fear? I had fears for years and never paced myself until I finally crashed the hard. Now I'm housebound, so it's difficult because I need to have some ability to not overdo it, but also not have fear. Yeah, so first thing I would say is I like a sense of intuitive pacing, right? So I think pacing can be helpful. I feel like strict hardcore pacing is counterproductive because you're actually stressing yourself out more by trying to perfectly manage your state. But like for me, it kind of shifted to doing activity and balancing that out with enough destimulation time, I would call it, with like meditation. And you know what's really cool is actually these YouTube. If you search like healing frequencies on YouTube, you put something like that and you just kind of lie, you either meditate or you rest. It really has an effect on the nervous system. I love it. I've been using those more recently, like when I'm just having some destimulation time, because I love it. Those frequencies make a difference, man. So I would say an intuitive pacing where maybe you sit like that, right? But you also at the same time you want to change your relationship to fear as well, right? There's nothing wrong with feeling fear, and the more that you allow your fear to come out, right? You sit with your fear, you feel into the root of your fear, right? What if there was nothing you were afraid to feel? Then am I transgender? No. That's so random. These comments throw me, guys. I swear the YouTube algorithm is pumping this to different spaces than we've usually seen. But yeah, let me carry on what we're saying. It's difficult because I need to have some ability to not overdo it, but also not have fear. Yeah, but that thought saying I also need to not have fear, that's actually fear in disguise, right? There's nothing wrong with the experience of fear. The emotion of fear itself is a beautiful emotion. It's when fear is unconsciously driving your behavior and your thought patterns, then it's a problem. But if you actually truly feel fear, you're on the right track, right? There's a massive difference between feeling fear and Trump is about to save North America. Oh, we are not starting a political debate. You are going in timeout for 10 minutes. If you come back and you're still full of interesting comments, Commander Harris lost. Oh my gosh. Now we're going into political YouTube. Alrighty. I mean, Kamala Harris did lose, but that is not what we are discussing here. Funnily enough, I did actually announce that I'm gonna do a live stream tomorrow talking about the relationships between meditation and, in general, what to do with when people are being triggered by like politics and world events, right? So someone sent me an email recently. Great questions. I loved it. Kind of Yeah, I was going to save it for tomorrow, but then it will be interesting because then we will be touching on slightly more. I mean, the plan is not to debate politics at all, but that will, if seeing as we're bringing in interesting crowds already, let's see who we have tomorrow. Alrighty. Does fear not activate fight or flight? Yeah, in a sense, I would say, but in the moment, right, feeling fear, sure, it might trigger your sympathetic nervous system, but what one doesn't realize is that unconscious fear is in the background 24/7, right? It's saying, I need to avoid fight or flight, I need to avoid fight or flight, right? But if you can allow fear and then you can actually shift your state, right? You can be like, fear is allowed to be here. And then you can start to cultivate more feelings around compassion and gratitude. And then you can feel fear. And at the same time, you can feel gratitude and excitement about life, right? And that's how you shift your state from being stuck in fear. So this is the brain retraining, right? And I watched one of my recent videos as I kind of walked through it. It's called like, do this brain retraining now or something. And you can feel your fear, right? You can be like, okay, there's fear. What is actually at the root of fear? What is the thing I'm most afraid to feel? Right? Start with that, feel into that. And then be like, I'm actually going to use this fear to shift myself into a state of gratitude, right? And then you just start to practice that. You say, okay, I I'm allowing this to be here, right? I'm actually grateful that I'm feeling this right now. And you can start to imagine your state shifting, right? You can be like, you know what, tomorrow I'm capable of doing anything. And even if you don't believe that, right, you can start to feel, what would that feel like, right? If tomorrow you could literally go and do anything you wanted, how would you feel? Right? And then the mind's going to come up with resistance and fear and doubt and skepticism and cynicism. No, no, how am I going to be able to do whatever I want tomorrow if today, blah, 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 blah. And then you just do a thought experiment, like, what do I feel in my body if I imagine that? And then you can start to retrain, to shift your state, right? You're actually heading towards that future by feeling the emotions now. All right. Yeah, Twitter. Um, Twitter is a yeah, not a very high, not very high emotional states. Lots of low vibe emotions. What? Okay, Millie Hilton, can you talk about symptoms during exertion? What happens? Right? What's the problem? I seem to be going okay until the walk gets far enough to make me warm and my heart go. What happens then? My daughter is watching with me today, and she just informed me that that's called rage bait. Lol, I learned something new every day. Random comments. I mean, yeah, that makes sense. I'm sure. I'm sure in some chats it would work, but unfortunately they picked the wrong space because ain't no bait happening. It's more just funny, to be honest. But I'm sure some people would be very triggered. Okay, Millie, I feel like a bodily meltdown, like my legs are jelly and my heart is going crazy, then end up with worsened symptoms the next day. Okay. Well, one thing I would say is in the moments when that is happening, right? You can just slow down and take a break and say, and and work with what's coming up and say, this is good, right? The fact that I'm feeling this right now is this, because like an example, right, is, it's fine, like if it's overwhelming, you don't have to push yourself into these states, but you can use it, right? If you find yourself in a state and it's bringing up things you're afraid of, you can use that as your kind of retraining ground, right? So it's okay if there's fear, it's okay if there's all of that, but really you can be like, okay, how can I shift my interpretation of what my body is experiencing? Let's talk about it like that. You want to shift your interpretation of what your body is experiencing, right? So like an example is, and this is just an example, but I'm going to expand on it, right? Is the difference between anxiety and excitement, right? Same physical sensations, but the mental interpretation, right? So you have a big event coming up and the body has an anxious reaction to it. But that can be interpreted as excitement as well. You could be like, wow, I can feel this energy in my body and I'm excited about it. So, in the same sense, you could reframe the interpretation of what's happening in that moment, right? Instead of saying my body is having a meltdown and my heart is going crazy, right? You can notice those thoughts if that comes up, but then you want to shift your interpretation to, you know what's actually happening right now is this is normal, right? And this is exercise. It's new to my body, right? I haven't done this before, and you know, it's going to trigger new things that I'm not used to feeling, right? It's going to kind of bring up my heart rate. And as my heart rate comes up, that might trigger other things in my body, right? And that might trigger fear in my system as well. And that's okay, right? That we don't have a problem with fear, but we want to allow a conscious space for fear as well. So those are the suggestions that I would make, is to kind of retrain your perspective on it. And then afterwards, if you're feeling a lot of symptoms, see if you can kind of give yourself a little bit of space to uh, allow things to come up, right? So it's like a mixture of allowing, right? If there's fear, that's fine. Because what eventually starts to happen is the body can have all these interesting sensations and symptoms, and we do have to kind of allow the nervous system to adapt. But we process fear out of the system, if that makes sense. So then you're capable of doing these things, and your body will have all these strange reactions, but fear doesn't drive the nervous system into kind of because you've allowed your fear, right? You've given space where it's like, fear's okay. I can be with this. Let me know if that helps. Okay, Lewis. Not sure if you saw my second question, but just in case it's up above the comment, I'll go look for it. Oh, that's right. I saw the sorry another queue, and then I think I got distracted by someone asking me if I was transgender. How do you suggest dealing with the fear of getting worse? Sorry, I need some water. All right. How do you suggest dealing with the fear of getting worse? I try and accept it, but it doesn't go away. I really want to change this to a real belief that things can get better. Okay. So one thing is you really have to see how you just stop choosing to fuel fear, right? It really comes down to, this is like the brain retraining approach is, let me scroll up so I'm not getting distracted. This is the brain retraining approach, right? Is you just don't fuel the fear-based pathways. If that makes sense. Now, this might sound overly simple, but we have an addiction to these pathways, right? So the thought will come up and said, there's a fear of getting worse. How am I going to deal with that? And again, on one hand, you say, well, what am I afraid of feeling? Right? Because the thought is a distraction, right? It's putting your attention in the future. It's saying, hey, look here, there's something in the future we need to be afraid of because there's something right now we don't want to feel. So when you're having that thought, realize, haha, this is my mind tricking me, right? Doesn't matter. There's no need to feel those pathways. It does, the thing is, the whole point with brain retraining is that you're shifting your future, right? You're shifting your future from a state of stuckness to a state of healing, right? So when the thoughts come up and it's like, I'm afraid this is going to get worse, right? Notice that. Oh, that's the voice of fear. But one, I don't need to spin that story. There's a difference between allowing and noticing a thought saying, hey, that's the voice of fear, and being like, oh shit, yeah, that's true. Can you see the difference, right? Where it's like one is you're engaging with it, right? You're like, it's almost like you're being pulled into a kind of state of stuckness, but that is really something you just let go of over time. And then, yeah, and then shifting to one, feeling that, right? What am I afraid of feeling in this moment? That's one level that you can do. And then the other one is, that's just not true, right? That's just the voice of fear. It doesn't know. Why can you not be getting better in the future, right? But it is helpful to feel the fear at a sensation level because there's something your body doesn't want to feel, right? There's something your mind doesn't want you to feel, so it's taking your attention elsewhere. So you got to see it as like a distraction technique. Let me know if that's helpful. Oh, great. More political stuff. Well, at least they're sending love. I mean, that's kind. But we're not discussing Trump here currently. Thank you for sending love from Poland. Yeah, it's good. I like how you put it, Molly. It's become a narrative rather than a fleeting thought, right? So that's good, right? If something's a narrative, we know that that's where our juice lies, right? So it's like, if this is your narrative, it triggers us because it's our narrative, right? And the thing is, behind the narrative is the stuff we're afraid to feel, right? If that thought comes up and what is the other approach of not identifying with that? It's the same as like an identity of I'm the one that never recovers. If you take that away, what's left? Right? The mind is scared of the unknown. If you take away, it's clutching to, right? It's clutching to the narrative. It's clutching to that let go. Let go. You're gonna let go into the unknown, but it's worth it. Upset about who won. That's crazy. I am absolutely. I'm so upset. Can you see how upset I am right now? It's crazy, brother. Please console me. But yeah, I like what Millie said. I like the train analogy. You can watch the thought go through the station and choose to not get on. That's such a great way to say it because there is a choice when there's thoughts, right? There's a choice to identify, and that would be getting on the train. Shit, this thought is real. And it takes practice, right? So when I say there's a choice, don't beat yourself up about it. Don't get into self-criticism. That's not helpful. Just realize basically that there's so much momentum to getting on the train. And you will get on the train unconsciously, but then this is the point when you realize you're on the train. When you realize it, then you can realize, oh shit, this isn't actually a real train, right? You're on the train, shit, this is happening, and then that's going to happen, and then that's going to happen. Wait, what? That's actually all just in my thoughts. So it's fine if you get on the train, right? Because don't beat yourself up, right? You get kind of pulled into habitual thinking. But the more that you shift your intention, it works. Intention is so powerful, right? If you have an intention of, I'm going to heal, right? Every day, I'm actually healing. And your intention is, I'm not going to feel fear, right? I'm going to feel gratitude. I'm going to feel happiness. Intention is powerful. The more your burning intention is to heal, the more things will shift. Yeah, that's a good point, Lewis. If your condition got worse this year, that's going to trigger emotions like frustration and all of that, which is understandable, but uh, you don't want to get caught up in those emotions, but you want to allow that, right? It's absolutely okay to feel it. It's also good to like um, give it like talk yourself through it all. Sorry, I pushed something. Something popped up on my phone and I got taken out of here. But yeah, you can talk through your emotions, but create like a foundation of, because you can get stuck in frustration. Like this is the thing, right? We can get stuck in, I'm so frustrated, I'm not making any progress. But again, your ability to self heal is so powerful. Focus on that, right? Focus like the I'm gonna I've spoken about this more in my recent videos because it was something that I hadn't put enough resources on about it. Um, but the more you train like a sense of uh, gratitude and yeah, I mean, it becomes like a backdrop in your experience. Hey, you're welcome. All super helpful. Very glad to hear that. You can't stop the train coming, but you have a choice whether to get on it. Exactly. Let it go. Let the train fly by. Yeah, Lewis, I've been lacking in intention because I've felt lacking in control and direction. It's understandable. And a nice takeaway from that is often that it's these periods of uh, lacking control and direction that force us to reflect and strengthen intention, right? So I can speak from personal experience. I recently had a similar phase where, um, yeah, lack of direction was um, a good way to put it, right? A bunch of things were changing in my life, like financially, um, yeah, relationships, all of those, so much change, right? And it left me feeling very disoriented. But that brought me back to some like really great foundational stuff of this intention of, hey, actually, I am the one that's completely in control here, right? All of this shit can happen externally, but you can create this kind of inner, um, this untouchable inner space within yourself where you're forging ahead regardless, right? So those phases of lack and control and attention can be um, a great motivator to strengthen intention, right? So it's like, okay, so what do I do? I strengthen my intentions, and then the universe will test you as well, right? It will be like, okay, you strengthen your intentions. What if I throw this at you? And then you see what comes up. How do you keep feeling motivated to look after yourself? Do you maybe want to expand on that question? In what sense, right? What motivation do you need? And look after yourself. I mean, one answer to that question is you get sick of the alternative. You let your unconscious mind run your life, and it's much less empowering than retraining that and realizing that you're super fucking empowered. But you have to release all of your external projections. There's nothing outside of you that can touch you. You have to find the light throughout periods of darkness. Man, periods of darkness are so illuminating. Exactly. You don't realize your resilience until all the lights turn out, and then you have to search and search and search, and you're like, wait, the place that I'm looking from is where all the light is actually coming from. But you don't look there unless you're surrounded by darkness. So be grateful for that darkness. Yeah, love it. Cheers, MP. Yeah, have a nice day wherever you are in the world. It is currently about 10:30 p.m. here, so I'm probably going to go to bed soon. But this is fun. I guess I feel burnt out from constantly trying to get better. Yeah, so stop trying. I mean, really though, because this is the thing, right? Especially if you're feeling burnt out by trying. Oh yeah, Costco. What the fuck? If you if you're constantly trying to get better, really releasing that burden on yourself is powerful, right? To be like, I don't actually have to force anything. It can almost be like putting too much pressure on yourself. Joy and love kind of tends to come naturally when we go into a state of allowing, right? So if you just sit and you're like, I'm allowed to feel what's here, but you do it with an intention to feel love, right? So can we see your ceiling fan? Yeah, you can. There it is. That's as much as you can see today. It's you have to join my. You have to become a member or donate at least $10 in the chat now if you want to see my ceiling fan. I'm just gonna just show my ceiling fan to anyone, bro. Who do you think you are? Yeah, that's so good actually. And OnlyFans, right? If you want to see my fans, $8 deal. If you pay $8, I will show you my ceiling fan. But yeah, joy and love naturally are there when the mind gets out the way. Am I getting ripped off? I don't know, mate. Pay the $8 and then you'll see if my fan was worth $8. All right. $3. Nope. Last chance, otherwise I'm putting you in timeout. Man, we don't have time for lack of integrity. Sorry, dandelions and butterflies. I find taking a break from trying to recover sometimes is very good for my mental health. Yeah, and I think that's good, is to kind of relax that. Okay, goodbye. Cheers. Yeah, that's often like really nice as well, to just kind of put your mind at ease sometimes, just do something. Watch a good, I mean, I love watching a good TV series. Honestly, you just kind of immerse yourself in a whole nother world. And then at the same time, you'll get kind of extra motivation. Like you said, if you take some time off, you get some motivation to come back into. So, like, okay, now I really want to kind of focus on what's important to me. And you can get clear on what that is. But I think it's very good for your mental health to kind of not be hyper focused on healing. But for some people, I'm just going to talk on the other perspective of this now, because I know a lot of people are there, is where they're kind of frustrated with where they're at, but they're not doing anything to change it, right? So they're just kind of going through the motions, experiencing symptoms, and then they'll come on and complain about their symptoms. And that's where you need to, in those situations, people need to be like, okay, right, I need to take responsibility for my own health here, realize that there's tools out there And if you're willing to do it, you'll find the tools, right? And then really be willing to meditate, do brain retraining, shift your state, and then actually do things that will bring more joy into your life, right? So that for me, this was so to talk on the topic of motivation, this was really key for me. What do I really want to be doing with my life, right? What would be the ideal scenario? And then I thought of things, right? I was like, I'd love to be able to cycle again. I'd love to be able to travel one day. I'd love to be able to share what I'm learning with the world, right? Which is what I'm doing now, which is awesome. All of these kinds of things, right? That became a motivation. I was like, okay, I need to make this my reality. And that motivated me to shift my life. So that can be helpful as well. It's like, really, what are things that you want to do? Not what are things that you should do, right? It's not like I need to heal because I should be doing this or I should be doing that. It's way more powerful to come up with, like, what do you actually want to do? Alrighty. Any more questions? We're gonna hop off soon. So let's get to at least an hour. We've got 3 more minutes. So. Do you answer questions via email? Sometimes it depends, right? Sometimes people send me really long questions via email, and you know, I can answer comments, and yeah, it depends. I do answer sometimes. Any good audiobook recommendations for inspiration? For inspiration, that's a good question. I don't know. Anything in the. I'm trying to think. Like, I can't think of specifically what's a really inspiring book. I naturally think of Joe Dispenza's stuff. I think his approach to mind-body healing is quite inspirational. How often do you trim your nose hair? 3 times a day. Yeah. I'm trying to think. I mean, I found Michael Singer's book, The Surrender Experiment, very inspiring. It's not about chronic illness. It's about kind of surrendering to the flow of life. Pretty cool. But yeah, but to be honest, I think things that are a little bit more empowering are quite cool as well. Like, I was just searching the mind body healing space. I don't have any. I wish I did. I was trying to rack my brain, but I played too much hockey. My brain cells are fried. How do you not get upset when people don't understand CFS? It's a good question because it touches on an important aspect of this, which is the need to make other people understand, right? That's what drops away. And again, this is kind of coming back into self-empowerment where it's understandable, right? That need is in your system, right? It's very natural. It's conditioned into all of us. But you can generally express how you're feeling. And if someone doesn't get that, they don't get that. But at the same time, we need other people to understand that to keep us, it's like, that's right. What I started to do was I don't care if people don't understand me because I'm going to heal out of this shit. So it's actually not. Uh, it's not important. What's happening is part of our identity is not getting validated, and like, look, I'm not trying to. Um, it can be challenging to hear this, right? But it's it's a waste of energy, I would say, right? And put that energy to rather focusing on your own healing. And sure, have compassion for yourself. Like, obviously, you're going through some challenging stuff, so if people don't get that, that's naturally gonna hurt a part of the human. But there's like an unnecessary project that we all undertake where it's like, I need somebody else to understand this. But I mean, 90% of the people I interact with um, don't even know what I've been through, right? Kuiper. That's a good question. What to do when the nervous system is more sensitized for a period due to more activity backing or feels like giving into symptoms? I would say that's not true. I would just say that's kind of like a thought that's catching us. I think that's absolutely fine. If the nervous system is more sensitized, there's absolutely nothing wrong with taking a rest day, right? It's the same when I'm exercising a lot. Like, I haven't been to the gym in a while and I go and do like a heavy gym session, my nervous system is very sensitized, right? It's natural, it's stimulating for the nervous system. And then maybe I'll sleep in later the next day, maybe I'll have some more chill time. So you start to develop this. It's why I like the term intuitive pacing so much. You naturally notice when your nervous system is sensitized, and you give yourself a break, and then I'll come back 2 days later, and eventually your nervous system adapts, right? So it's like any new stimulus is going to sensitize your nervous system, but once your nervous system adapts, then it's easier, right? Then I go to the gym again, and I'm like, whoa, my capacity for work in the gym is higher because I took a rest day, because I took 2 rest days. So I would say that's absolutely fine. We push ourselves too hard. Honestly, take a slow day. Enjoy the slowness of not having to do anything. Release all projects for a while. It can be really powerful, right? Because the mind wants to be in a constant state of not backing off. What does it feel like if we just don't give it any projects for a while? And then that can become stale after a while, and then we want to start doing things, right? I've had those phases as well, and maybe I take 2 days off, and I'm like, okay. Then a little bit of fear can build up of what you're doing, and then engaging again is good. So that's why it's an intuitive flow, right? What am I afraid of right now? Am I afraid of rest, or am I afraid of activity? And then do either. You're welcome, mate. Sandra said great stuff. Thank you. You're welcome, Sandra. Thank you for your message. Wow, that's a very delayed comment. The JS 3 times, you said. Yeah. Very important. Otherwise, it gets as long as this hair. It's crazy. It gets a result of too much meditation. and coffee. Meditation plus coffee combined increases nasal hair growth. Human Lab did an interesting podcast on that recently. Check it out. Yo, that poll was rigged af. I'm sorry, but those are the only two possible answers. It's just facts. 4 people agree with me so far. You're welcome, Liz. Thank you for your questions. I haven't meditated on cocaine. Why not just do DMT then? %83 of people prefer the first yes to the second yes. Oh, that is an interesting statistic. I recognize that name actually, ZJ. Have you commented on my stuff before? DMT is not that accessible, you feel me? But things like that can do more harm than good. DMT can do more harm than good, but cocaine is recommended. Interesting perspective. Can't say I agree. But yeah, I would agree that DMT is not that accessible. That makes sense. I haven't before. Okay, interesting. Maybe I'm just getting deja vu. But I have started moving forward. Thank you. Everything. If I meditate for an entire week without stopping I mean, that's the thing. So like I've been on meditation retreats basically, but that's what you do. But the interesting thing is there's like meditation and integration, and combining those two is what's really powerful, right? I feel like pure isolation, like if we've never experienced it before, I think extended amounts of meditation can be very, very powerful because they can shift our inner states a lot. But I think combining that with integration is powerful because what can happen, and this is quite common with people that go on a lot of retreats, is that you can kind of get afraid of the external world, if that makes sense, right? You can become so inward focused that it will be triggering, even for somebody it's not CFS, right? This is why integration is important. After a meditation retreat, the external environment is so overstimulating. But it can be powerful. Honestly, I do think like, consider like a short retreat or something like that. But yeah, that's my perspective. Do you know much about the hypermobility CFS link? No, I don't know what hypermobility is. Sorry. What is the hypermobility CFS link? Cheers, ZJSJJSJS. It's quite a smooth name, you know. It's got a rolls off the tongue very easily. Keep that 3 times a day routine tight. Oh well, sometimes I slack and then it's I can't go out in public. But I appreciate the encouragement. I need it sometimes. Thank you for joining in. I'll see you. See you when I see you. You should start a Discord server. I haven't done that. That's an interesting idea. Yeah, I mean that could be helpful for answering questions and did actually. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. It's not a bad idea. It's nice to open up other avenues. It does. The name, yeah, it does. Quite the choice. Okay, end of the poll. The first yes wins. Congratulations to everyone who got it right. 14% of you chose the wrong yes. It's okay. Better luck next time. What should I think when I feel doubtful that I will heal? Well, first see that doubt is a very common thought train, right? That we're talking about. It's very one that catches us where we feel doubt and then that can send us. But let doubt be in the background, right? There's a big difference between there's doubt, I don't have to do anything about doubt. Doubt is not a problem. Doubt can come, I'm afraid, but this is where you need to work on identification with the thoughts, right? So what Molly mentioned earlier, I don't know if she's still here, but it's like let the doubt train come, let it go through the station. It's helpful to not think that you have to, right? So like two aspects, right? It can be helpful to really set your intention on healing. I can heal, I will heal, right? It's truly possible, honestly. I'm speaking from a space of doubtlessness. I doubtlessly believe that you can heal. But at the same time, it's you don't need to fix doubt. So that's the key. Like let doubt be there. Don't have to do anything about doubt. What a relief. But at the same time, you will heal. Certainly. But you need to not let doubt be a problem. Marco Droghiri, a new commenter. Are you fully healed? If yes, have symptoms come back and which ones? Good question. I like the second part. Yes, I would say I'm fully healed. But yeah, symptoms have come back because so the question of fully healed is always an interesting one because from my perspective, it's all about load on the nervous system and that can reflect in the body physically, right? So if I load up my nervous system a lot, right? And this has happened, right? I've been traveling and then I've, had poor sleep and I had a poor diet and then I push myself hard with exercise and then my nervous system starts to kind of become overly sensitized again because there's basically too much load on the nervous system and there's not enough release, right? So then it forces me to reassess, right? Hey, this is not a healthy way to deal with my nervous system. So it's basically like a healthy lifestyle, honestly. And in those phases, all sorts of symptoms can come up, right? Fatigue, aches and pains in the body, all of that. But it's very different to not have all the stories around it and realize, oh, okay, what do I need to do about this, right? Maybe I need to meditate a little bit more. Maybe I need to change my diet a little bit for a while. And for me, the biggest shifter is always working in the mental space, right? With like gratitude and kind of empowering healing. And then that shifts the body. But yeah, currently I've never felt stronger. Yeah, it's a good question. Are you currently able to push hard during physical activity? Yes, I mean today I hit the highest I've ever bench pressed, even before any of this. And then in the evening I played an hour and 50 minutes of intense hockey, and that was like average heart rate of like 160. And I mean, I'm pretty fucking tired right now, but it's and again, the body can have all these things, but right, it's very different if it's just allowed to move through the body. And then tomorrow I'll probably have like a more chill day. But so you learn your natural rhythms as well. Like if I was like fucking go tomorrow again, um, you can build up your physical capacity, which I've noticed as well. Like I play hockey weekly, and the few times I played hockey, it was like I was floored for a while. Even though I'd actually healed, I got very fit again. And then I went traveling and I wasn't able to exercise so much. I lost kind of my fitness, and I came back and it was like frustrating because I was like, go to hockey and I'd be dead afterwards. But yeah, it's like then the nervous system adapts, right? But you got to give it time to adapt as well, right? You need good sleep, and for me, like meditation is key. Like if I just spend all my time like talking to people that I don't want to talk to, I'll feel pretty energetically drained. When sometimes I'd rather just meditate or watch a good TV show. Let's go. Thank you, mate. I'm currently on month 14, and I would say 95% of symptoms have healed. Legendary. I love it. But I'm only 20 years old. I feel like this isn't normal for my age. Yeah, but you're in a powerful space, man. To have such a relationship with your nervous system at such a young age is great. Okay. Don't worry about normal. Normal is boring. You're on a different path now. What type of meditation is best? Whatever works for you. Last question, I promised. So many people have told me to give up caffeine in order to heal, but coffee is one of my favorite moments in the day. Is diet that crucial, do you think? No, what's key is that it's one of your favorite moments in the day. So enjoy the shit out of that coffee. I drink coffee. I love it. Like the thing is with caffeine, I notice that it does have like I like to take a break from it now and again to almost kind of reset. I know like a tolerance can build up over time, so it's nice to like take a break. But I mean, I suck at it so many times where I'm like, I'm going to take a break from caffeine because I want to reset it, and then like halfway through the day, I'm like, fuck, I need a coffee. So yeah, I would say like diet isn't that crucial. I like to like almost even just like the effects of caffeine are even stronger when you take a break. But as I said, I'm not good enough at it sometimes, and I feel like it creates unnecessary struggle for myself. Where sometimes I just embrace it. And I'm like, damn, caffeine is cool. But it does have a creep effect, I will say, where it's like one coffee a day, then it's like 2 coffees a day, but it's not that serious, right? All of this stuff is like you play around with it. But yeah, like it's funny. I like discussing stuff like that because I totally understand how our minds can turn into such a big deal, but also like it's a very natural thing. Like I remember, when I was like researching awakening and meditation, and I was like, I wonder what these kind of people, do they drink caffeine? I was very curious. I couldn't find any answers anywhere. So that's why I like talking about it as well, because yeah, we're like, should I drink caffeine? Should I not? Because it is a drug. Same with alcohol, honestly. I don't like to drink a lot of alcohol, but sometimes I think a nice glass of wine if I'm watching a TV show or something. It's just allow yourself to enjoy things, right? They like you bounce back, right? And then sometimes just allowing yourself to relax a little bit and enjoy things a bit more can be exactly what one needs, you know. Sometimes I shift into like a state where I'm like, okay, I want to eat really healthy for a while, and then after that, like this is what recently happened. I was like, I want to eat really healthy because I was like exercising and I wasn't feeling great, and I was like, you know what, I need to kind of support my ability to exercise. So I started eating really healthy, and it's nice. But I've started relaxing that again a little bit, and it's nice to kind of just flow with what you feel like doing, you know. Do you ever have symptoms? Or I get these questions so often. Like for me, it's not about symptoms. It's about seeing that there's physical sensations in your body from all sorts of different things, right? But it can really stop being a problem, right? So sometimes I can have days where the body feels very contracted. And in the past, the mind would have labeled that as symptoms. But then I can just meditate and feel into it. And then these kind of spaces open up. And then it's just like, it's just what's being experienced, right? It just feels like condensed energy. But what's important is the mind to let go of this ideal or the state where there's no discomfort in experience, if that makes sense. But as you sit and feel into that more, it becomes quite pleasurable, actually. But you can go through phases. So that's what's key. It's like everybody has up days and down days. So I think what is really helpful is to release this analytical part of the mind that's saying, oh, today I'm having a bad day because there's this symptom and that symptom and that symptom. Some days I wake up and I feel like shit. And then I just lay in bed, go have a cup of coffee, go for a walk. And then, who knows, then I go to the gym. Maybe I don't go to the gym. Then maybe I take a chill day. And the next day I wake up, I feel better, go to the gym. Sometimes I feel better being active. Sometimes I feel better chilling. But it doesn't have to be so intense. So you think in the future, once I'm healed, I'm going to have to be extra conscious about putting stress on the nervous system? Can I live mindlessly before the problem? Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting question. From my own experience, I have a different relationship with my nervous system, which I think is healthier. Right? It's all about perspective. I could be frustrated with that, or I can see it as like a gift. I can see it as like I'm actually able to reap the rewards of my gym workouts more than most people because I'm able to kind of understand stress and the nervous system. Stress affects everybody's nervous systems, right? But some people are just naturally, I don't know, like they don't have these kind of minds that would turn it into a problem. But they go into the gym and working out put stress on everybody's nervous systems. And then, yeah, I feel like giving yourself space to de-stress is what stops things from chronically building up in the body, which in some day might manifest as a certain type of illness. So I think it's powerful. But again, your mind can always frame something as a problem. This is the root of what I like to share. Is like there's no such thing as a problem in experience unless the mind chooses to label it as such. Focus on that and everything else will follow. That's what I focus on, right? There's no such thing as a problem in my experience. I don't care if my body's feeling physically tired or physically energized. It's just what the moment's bringing up. Okay, what's up, Kyle? When the shift happened for you, did you also realize that there is a clear pattern to recovery? So maybe just want to expand on that question a little bit. The shift, are you talking about like awakening? And in a clear pattern to recovery in what sense? I like the question, but I just want to clarify it a bit. Just see if you can expand on that. There's no going back to how things were before, but that can be a good thing. Absolutely, everything's a good thing. Hey Marco, I understand your perspective, but I would say that don't let your mind will find any reason to fixate on it. Like somebody that's older will say that they can't heal because um, I'm too old, right? You got to see how the mind is looking to make a problem out of things. Right? I was also 20 years old when I first got sick. And eventually I got to the state where I was like, how fucking lucky. But it's okay to allow yourself to feel all the feelings. It's okay to feel the fear. That's what I'm talking about, shifting into this perspective of um, there's no problem, right? Don't let your mind make anything into a problem. At the same time, my voice is going. I'm going to have to end soon. At the same time, um, it's quite natural to experience all the emotions. So don't worry about the rest of your life. Just focus on a little bit closer. And I think it's very natural to have these fears when this happens at a young age. I remember, like, that was one of my biggest things in the worst periods of my illness. I was like, what the fuck, man? I'm 20 years old, and this is not what everybody else is experiencing in their lives. But if you open up to it, if you open up to the wisdom, and wisdom comes from these experiences, then it's a great gift at such a young age. Lewis Cole, I just mean when you recover, you'll be better, but you'll also have a different perspective. Exactly. Felix, what's up, brother? How are you? Marco, how old are you now, Kyle? Thanks for all your wisdom. Very, very, very much appreciated. You're welcome, mate. Very glad to hear that. I can't tell you my age. It's confidential. No, I'm joking. I'm 24. Dun dun dun. Alrighty. Okay, but to answer Kay's question, because I was waiting for you to expand on it, but I can base that. Yeah, what happened to me, I would say the main shift in realization and pattern that was realized was that um, resistance is at the heart of everything, right? Once you retrain your mind to not have resistance to a single thing in your experience or to study resistance, right? This is what I did. I was like, where's their resistance? Where's their problem? Right now, where is there a problem in my experience? And I would explore that, right? Maybe the mind is turning a symptom into a physical, like a physical sensation, into a symptom, into a problem. Maybe it's turning a thought into fear, into a problem. Maybe it's turning an emotion into a problem. If you explore resistance and you really explore it, you'll get to a space where it's very clear that life is just spontaneous flow of experience and there's nothing that needs to get in the way of that. But you're going to have to dig through the trenches of what you're afraid to feel because resistance is stored on top of certain experiences, right? And so as you experience resistance, it's going to come out, right? Physical pain, fatigue, all the emotions you've never wanted to feel your whole life, helplessness, shame, not good enough, fear. Because there's resistance, right? If you want to explore resistance, you're going to have to see all the rest of it. Yeah, so I'm kind of in that push and crash cycle, and I feel like there is a clear phase, and I'm kind of enjoying that in a weird way. Great, man. I love it. Exactly, that's the right perspective. Enjoy the ride. Study it. You're learning shit. It's an adventure. No, that's good. I like that perspective, dude. Oh yeah. Whoever you are. I think that's great. Okay. I'm going to check out soon. The shit's addictive, man. That's fun. But I'm like, okay, I'm going to stop now. And then I'll wait to see if there's any more questions. But it's fun. I get bored otherwise. Alrighty. That seems like a natural ending point. Thank you all for joining. Fun to hang out. I'll see you. I'm hosting a live stream tomorrow where I'm going to talk about the relationship between meditation and triggering external circumstances like politics and world events. So tune in for that if you're interested. I offer one-on-one coaching, so check out the link in my about section of the YouTube channel if you want to work with me. We work on healing, awakening, meditation, emotion work. It's a powerful space, honestly. I really just open up to whatever needs to come out of your system, and shifts happen. So the more vulnerable you are, the more powerful those spaces are. I think that's really the key. Really just showing me what you're feeling is powerful. And then, what else? Any other announcements? Yeah, I'm going to start doing some group Zoom meetings again. I'll post information about that. If you ever want to make any donations to the channel, that's greatly appreciated. If you find the videos helpful and you want to support me to be able to do more of this, you'll be a top friend. There's a PayPal link in there. In my YouTube, you can also join and make donations through the YouTube channel. This stuff really makes a difference when people make donations. It really supports me to be able to do more of this. So yeah, that's all for now. Good luck, and I'll see you when I see you. Alrighty, cheers, my friends.